Today, I am thrilled to introduce a remarkable entrepreneur whose journey is truly a testament to resilience, reinvention, and leadership. After spending over 30 years in leadership roles across a wide variety of industries, from construction to retail to pharmaceutical work, Manu Loths decided to take a bold leap. Following a career that spanned continents from Germany to New Zealand, which is amazing, and roles that ranged from CFO to head of operations, Manu found herself at a crossroads seeking a new path that aligned with her values and passion for impactful work. In 2024, Manu founded Breitinger Consulting, a business built on the belief that operations and finances only work well when they work together. She has grown her practice from 0 clients to full capacity with a team supporting her mission. As an alumna of the OBM School, Manu credits the program with helping her build a business that matches the high standards that she delivered through her corporate career. She's not only delivering operational excellence to her client, but also making a meaningful impact by supporting charities, a cause that's very close to her heart. So in today's conversation, we're going to really dive into Manu's transition from corporate leader to budding agency owner, the challenges, the wins she's experienced along the way, and the personal and professional growth that fueled her success. We'll also explore how she's redefining what it means to build a business with purpose, authenticity, and structure. Manu, welcome. I am so excited to interview you. I have been waiting to find this perfect opportunity to line up our time zones so I could have you on the OBM show to share a little bit of your journey. So welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hi, Sarah. Lovely. Thank you so much for having me. Really excited.
Yeah. So you've had a really incredibly successful corporate career before launching your OBM consulting business. I would love to start with some of those mindset shifts that were important for you when you made the move from corporate to entrepreneurship.
So mid last year, I was just burnout. I have been working 34 years in businesses, and it was just, I came to the point where I didn't want to work 50, 60 hours every week anymore. It was just hard. And so I quit my job and thought, I have a holiday and then I find another job, which wasn't first so easy because, I'm over 50 and it was hard to find a role that really aligned with me and that I wanted to do. So I thought, okay, I start my own business. First, I thought, I'm specialized in finance and operations, and that's really my fuel. And I thought I'd call myself a process and systems consultant. Nobody knew what this is. It was just horrible. I started marketing the business. Nobody knew who Breitinger Consulting is. It was a real struggle. And then on Facebook, you popped up. And I thought, that is me. That is exactly what I'm doing. I am an online business manager, because that was more than I was marketing myself. I was marketing myself or the business as doing implementations of processes and systems. But OBM was so much more. OBM did actually sum up everything that I have done throughout my career. And I was always a big believer that finance and operations go really close hand in hand. So
amen, sister. Amen. It is like, I think that's one of the things I definitely want to talk about on today's podcast is the financial piece, because it's sort of this, swept under the carpet. Nobody really talks about it. And a lot of the times, as a very experienced online business manager with a rich corporate history, I mean, you can't deny that some of these clients are just in over their head with the financials.
Oh, yeah. Look, pretty much everyone when you come into a business, because you come into a business, and I always say a business is very personal. None of them is doing it because they just have fun. They all want to earn money.
We all want to earn money.
Exactly. They want to earn money, and they want to either, they need to support a family, they need to support a husband, they need to pay off debt. There is a reason why they need to earn money, and they struggle. So it's really personal. It comes into the business. So for me, that was always a big part with the finances to get that sorted as well. And also make the client aware that you are aware of that as well, because, they want to get everything under the business head and whatever. But if you are coming into the business as a partner,
yes,
then they see you as that partner, and they will be more open with you as well because they get your support.
I mean, Manu, I'm always so impressed by your just tenacity, and I think your natural entrepreneurship. Leadership is just huge for you. Like, I mean, I feel like you have such a mindset around leadership. What other mindset shifts did you make when you kind of moved? Because, you had this really rich corporate career. You could have just very easily eventually would have probably found another role in, corporate leadership, would have just put your head down and just kind of continued on your way. What are some of those big mindset shifts that you felt inside of you that needed to come out?
For me, it was one thing was my values.
Yes.
I wanted to work with clients that have values. It's
aligned values. Yes.
Yeah. I can now select. I can say, I have always, throughout my career and the people that I worked for, employers on the same level like my clients.
Yes.
So it's like when they have values that I can't, really go with.
Yeah.
Or they are not matching with mine. That is the same for my clients.
Yes.
It's the same red flags that were appearing when I worked for an employer are with clients. It's exactly
the same.
So it's the money issues when they have problems about money, if they don't value your staff, if they don't value your work, if they have just in general, views that I can't share. And I don't want to work for those people. And that's what I can choose now. I'm not stuck with
like freedom. I know. It's freedom. Like freedom. You can just change your clients. You can walk away. And also, I think it really challenges us emotionally, spiritually, with some of these clients, because you really do have to ask yourself, what are my values? Are these clients aligned with my values? It's one of my big 4 considerations I talk a lot about on this podcast and on the YouTube channel, a lot about the 4 great things a client needs to have. They need to be making money and have a solid business model. They need to have that mindset delegation. They need to, also be very confident around just their abilities. And so I think it's so, so important when we are thinking of this client to recognize that you need to have aligned values. If the values aren't aligned, or sometimes you get into these businesses. And that's why, I mean, I know I harp a lot about this, but like a discovery call, would you agree, Manu? Like discovery calls are wonderful to really understand if the client is possibly a good fit, but it's really only after you have that first strategic planning session where you really understand the inner workings and the client themselves and how it all fits together. And you can really then see if the values align. I don't think it's apparent right away at the beginning.
I see it in the discovery call.
Yeah, you see it right away.
I see it right away. And it's a couple of flags that they come up very quickly. Is if they postpone my call 3 times.
Go. Oh, yeah. Bye.
But goodbye. If I don't get what I ask, if they are just too difficult from the very beginning, I think, no, I don't want to go ahead. If it starts difficult, it's going to be a nightmare. So no way. And I really trust my gut feeling.
I feel like it's not just the mindset shift. It's like a gut feeling shift where I'm choosing to be an entrepreneur because I no longer want to also be putting up with that. Like I'm choosing who I work with. I am picking my clients. And I think it's such an amazing thing, Manu, because when we first spoke, I guess it might have been a year ago, maybe even less, you have in such a short time gone from, a few clients to running at full capacity. And now, I mean, even, we were speaking prior to this interview about how you're scaling your team now. What do you think, especially for those women listening here that are maybe in their 50s, that are debating to themselves whether they've missed the boat on entrepreneurship. I feel like it gives me chills. I don't want to be cheesy here, but it's like such a meaningful thing. Like, what do you think were some of those key factors that, and I can think of a few, that really drove you to quote unquote success, being, full capacity, now really being very quickly in a situation where you can pick and choose who you're working with. And also you're insightful enough to even pick some clients on your roster, the charities that you really are aligned with, to keep that wheel turning, to just keep giving back and bringing it forward and rinse and repeat. What do you think led to that success for those listening thinking, oh my God, I want to be in Manu's shoes? What do I need to do to reverse engineer putting myself where she is? I have this rich leadership corporate career, like certainly, because I don't know, like, I mean, I'm rambling a little bit now, but I know even when I was in corporate and before I stepped into, and I was exactly like you, and I heard the OBM, I was like, oh my God, that's so me. I'm an OBM. It sort of takes all my corporate skills and puts it together in this role. But I still, in those shoes, in my corporate shoes, felt like I'm not so sure that these corporate skills can move into the OBM role. Like, how did you manage to do it so quickly?
I think you need a plan. You need a plan. You need to sit down and write down, what do you want? What is what you want to get out of this? And for me, it was pretty clear what I wanted. So I wanted to have the freedom to work from wherever I can work. I wanted to be, the master of my own time. I wanted to spend time away we have a beach house. I can go to the beach house and work from there.
Can I come work with you at your beach house?
That is the best.
It's the best. With the dogs, hanging out.
I can take the dogs, exactly. And I knew that. I haven't had the expectations to work less that I worked before. I worked the same hours.
Right.
It's for me, not for someone else. And every single minute that I invest into this business, it's mine. It's for me. And
it just gives back to you. Yeah.
It just gives back. Exactly. That was part of the plan. One plan was my age, because, I turned 55 this year, and I thought, okay, no, I want to build up something in the next couple of years that I can, agency model was always on my list. Mm-hmm. I always, because, I treat this exactly like I have been working before. I had teams. I was leading companies or corporations, and I had my teams that I delegated. I delegated work. I made the strategy, and it was so satisfying when that came together. And that's exactly how I work now. And that is where I want to be, that, I have my clients, I make the strategy, I am, overseeing things, and then I will have other people helping me, supporting me to make a great business out of the businesses that I work for. And that gives me really satisfaction, and it makes me happy. When I see those companies succeed, that makes me happy. But I can only reach this level on an agency level. And the other thing is, I wanted to have a business where I can then at one stage come to a point where I say, okay, I work 20 hours in 5 years and just oversee things. I have until then trained OBMs that can take on more responsibility. I have still an income where I can kind of semi-retire. I can travel. I can do this from wherever I am in the world.
Yes.
And I can enable also, my husband has also his own business. I can enable him to slow down, That is my goal. That is what I want to achieve. And that is, nothing that I think I am too old for.
No.
Because I have those experiences now that I bring in. It's not just the experiences. It's also about work. It's also, the personal skills to act with companies. And I think also on top of it, if you come into a business where you have a younger business owner, they listen to you because, they know you have those skills and you have those experiences. And sometimes a wise word as well, or shoulder to cry. I had this.
A shoulder to cry, and amen. we spoke about this just prior to hopping on and pressing record, but there's such a need to partner and really provide. And I think that it's so elusive, and we don't always realize that, clients are lonely. Our clients, our entrepreneur clients are lonely. They don't necessarily have somebody to lean on and to share, the dirty back end of their business, which a lot of the times is the financials. I know you do incredible work for people sorting out their financials. Like you've literally picked up businesses from the rubble, put them back together again, created a budget for your client who had that event that we were talking about that was just, she was over her head. The financial projections were like, if you do this event, you're going to go bankrupt. How can we bring it back down to scale so that it's in a place where we can be proactive about at least breaking even / making a small profit, but not losing money. It's just so, such a critical role, because it's like, sometimes I think about the OBM role, and I mean, I know that we do amazing things for our clients, but sometimes it's really hard to put into words what that transformation looks like, especially when it's a difference of like the business failing or the business continuing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, totally. And they have partners at home. They don't want to confess that things are not going well. So they need someone to talk and to talk honestly as well. That things are shit and they need to sort it out.
Yeah. And being honest.
Yeah. So they can share this with me because we work on it, and they can share the good stuff then with home. That is where it's become so personal as well. When I have a good client to work with, there's often a friendship coming out of this.
Yes.
You become part of a friend and their lives, and they appreciate what you have done for them. And when you then see their lives change, this is everything. I had someone that I have run their business for, and they were so close from losing everything when I came on.
Wow. For what reason? Tell us more. Tell us the juicy
details. It was management. It was absolutely management.
Was it the entrepreneur being haphazard manager in their business or someone else?
Look, it was a business that's around for 160 years.
Oh, wow.
And it was in 5th or 6th generation.
Oh, wow.
But I hear this so often. One architect once told me, Manu, I need you because, I went to architecture school. They taught me how to design beautiful houses, but they didn't tell me how to run a business.
Right.
And that is exactly the point. They are so good in the things they are doing and their skills, what they do, why they set up their business, but they are horrible in managing their businesses. And that was one case. They were really unstructured, and they tried for years and years to hire managers for their businesses, and they all made it worse. But because they had so less management skills, they couldn't really see the signs and the flags before it was too late all the time. They just got rid of their last manager. And then I met them while I was still in another role, and we were talking, and I said, okay, look, I come for a day, and I look at your files and I see what I can do, and I give you a little bit of advice. There was nothing that I wanted to work for them. It was just because I know them, and I thought, okay, I helped them a bit. I was sitting there going through things, and then I said, okay, look, this is what you can do. Gave them a little bit of a structure. Okay, look into this, get someone for this, get someone for this. And after that meeting, they said to me, do you want a job? And I said, look, I have a full-time role. And it's paid well. I can't just leave. And they said, please consider it. And I said, okay, look, you send me the logins to your books. I have a look over the weekend, and then I come back to you. So because I wanted to make sure I come into the business that can afford me and has potential to grow.
That's interesting. Looking into the financials to see that the business can afford me.
For me, is when I look into their books, that is for me like looking into their life. You see everything. You see how they spend their personal money. You see everything, and you see where they can make savings and where they can make huge changes. So I looked over the weekend into that, and I said also I wanted to have a forecast with jobs, what they could get and what they have in the pipeline. So after I reviewed everything, I thought, oh my gosh, they have huge potential.
Yeah, wow.
They can really grow. They can do
Wow.
really well. So I started with them, and within a year, I employed 13 people. We had a project manager, we had an admin person, we had several builders, we had apprentices, a salesperson. So we had all sorts of people employed within a year. And
Wow.
they were doing really, really well. Their
Wow.
turnover was going up 5 times what they had before.
Wow.
They
Wow.
were really doing well, but they had another problem. They had a property, and that was pretty much their life, because that was their main income stream for a while, because they rented it always out, and
Right.
it burned down in a wildfire. But they needed to earn the money to rebuild it.
That's crazy.
And
Wow.
with
What a
the
gift.
bigger income, they were able to rebuild this house. And that house was just on Grand Designs. And
Wow.
it still gives me goosebumps, because that is rewarding. Every time I see this house, I think amazing what they've done.
And what a symbolic transition, like this house that's sort of like, the bread and butter of the business, unfortunately doesn't need to be, but it is. And it's sort of this, security blanket burns down.
Yeah.
You build the business up again in a way where it doesn't, it's not hinging on the success of this house. And then they rebuild this beautiful house that ends up, I guess winning awards and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's even featured on TV, and that is what I love to do. And that is what I can do now for businesses that I love. At the beginning, because I worked a lot in construction and for tradespeople, I thought that is my vibe. And
because that's what we talked about it at the beginning.
Yeah, but with all the networking that I'm doing and my LinkedIn, where it's going, it goes more into women entrepreneurs now. And I love working with them. I just love to empower women and just be there, and when their confidence goes because the business is not working, because they have no systems, they have no structure. And then we can change this. And I see what they are able to do and to empower them with that tool. That is so satisfying. And it's fun. It's fun.
It's amazing. And I definitely want to shed some light, because I know our listeners or our YouTubers are thinking to themselves, like, that's great. Manu's had this wildly successful OBM career pretty much in the last year. You've really built a stable business. You've been choosy about who your clients are. And I think there's so much to that. And one of the things that I recognized in you from the beginning, and we spoke about a lot at the beginning, was your tenacity for networking and your, I think, natural just network that was already in place because, of your just rich corporate history, but also the fact that you have a family of entrepreneurs. Your husband's an entrepreneur, your daughter's an entrepreneur. So you also have like that sort of network around you. Or what advice do you have to offer to maybe those listeners who are like, I want to get this going. Where do I start? How do I start getting clients? What advice would you give?
Get out on media and personally as well. So, because I was in corporate roles the whole time, I never needed social media. I never needed LinkedIn. So I opened my account when I opened my business. Mm-hmm. I had 0 followers. I wasn't connected to anyone. And that was scary. That was scary at the beginning, to get out. And how do I do this? So get out, take advice as well. It's just like we say, we supporting people, they pay for a better system. So that is for yourself exactly the same. You need to invest in those things. And even if they feel scary at the beginning.
Yes, it does feel scary.
But you need to get this right from the very beginning, because how you show up, that is what people remember. So the better you get this sorted at the beginning, and the faster you get this sorted, the more traction you get. So, and for me, I did a branding workshop, which clearly gave me the confidence to get out as me, as my authentic self.
Yes.
That was really important for me because at the beginning I marketed the business and nobody knew what that was. It was about me. I need to get people hire me because of my skills, of my experiences, and not because of a name of a business.
Right.
So that changed how I appeared on.
And that can be that can be scary for a lot of people because you're like, oh my God, putting myself out there, or putting myself on my website.
That was for me too. But, I started posting about my experiences, and brought that together with samples and what I have done for other clients, how personal experiences influenced my whole working life. I get out like that, without sharing too much personal detail. You find a balance. You don't need to, put your pants down.
No. Yeah.
Absolutely not. It's just
Absolutely
like
not.
that's not, LinkedIn is not Facebook. It's professional. So, but if you keep this on a level where you can share experiences or samples or just get yourself out. And one thing that was really, really good, what I did at the very beginning, I had professional photos taken.
Yes.
Because, and I think that is super important because I'm not a selfie taker. I'm horrible.
Agree. 100%.
It's ugly and it was horrible.
Yeah.
My kids told me off how horrible it was. And I thought, okay, no,
leave it to your kids. Leave it to the kids to be honest with us, eh?
Oh, totally.
They never lie. Children never lie.
Yeah, exactly. And so I had professional photos taken and that was worth every cent.
Yes.
So that is one thing. Get on LinkedIn.
Also, those photographers have other clients that could be great referrals for OBM clients as well, right?
Exactly. So it's always, and I always share. If I was really happy with someone, I share because I want that business to get work as well and through my experiences.
It's like a give and take. And I think that's the magical thing about being in this role in business is that you can really give and you can take and give and take. And it's like the gift that keeps on giving when we can share and lift each other up and, be in these great circles that you've put yourself in.
Yeah, because it's always coming back. Whatever you give, it's always coming back.
It is such an energetic thing. And it's so also like, be careful what you wish for. Now you have this, it's like more money, more problems, as they say, but now you have a full roster and now you're on that next stage of like scaling the business, bringing on the VAs, working with your own OBMs to support more clients so that you can be at the beach house more, be spending more time with the hubby, just be living like this authentic life. Like how rewarding is that? And I feel like this whole time you have just been leaning into your personal skill set that you have acquired. And I know this to be true because even when I look back at my corporate life and, even the 9-to-5s I've had and university and all that stuff, I'm like, I see how everything was like preparing me for this role. It's just it's so remarkable in that way. This crazy OBM journey.
Totally. So for me, it's one is the LinkedIn, get out, do networking.
Yes.
The first couple of times are really scary, to get yourself out, but do it. The combination of LinkedIn and network in person works so well. I go to events and people come to me and say, I have never met them before. And they say, I saw you on LinkedIn. I follow you. I love your content. And, people know me and I don't need to introduce myself because they already know what I'm doing.
Right.
And then they talk. And then, I had it the other day. I went to an event and there was someone I met on LinkedIn and she's referring me to everyone. And I never touched her anywhere else other than LinkedIn. And then she puts on her post, if you never have spoken to Manu, you need to give her a call. And if you need help for in your business, I don't even know this woman from, I met her through LinkedIn. That is the combination with those tools. And also, don't have the expectation you are perfect with everything. No. I'm not. I'm horrible in marketing and I'm horrible in tools. And I'm not touching this. It's just like, I'm not doing this. I just do, a couple of things that I do for my clients when they need systems, processes, things like that. But I would never do a marketing campaign for a client.
Yeah.
because that's not my cup of tea. But I have people they can do this. So
Yeah, exactly.
I have a network that I refer to.
That's such an important piece, because I think when people think of the OBM role, they're like, oh, I need to be proficient in launching and marketing. And it's just not like that. I think it's pick and choose, and then recognize that where you are lacking or not feeling so confident, or maybe not even desiring to do that, you can bring in the right people to support you.
Yeah.
And make those
OBM School
connections.
definitely helped me, to get more skills there.
Yeah.
And also how workflows work in those particular areas that I haven't touched before. So that was really good, because now it gives me a better understanding. And I actually implemented something about it with my client as well that I couldn't have done without the launch management part that I did at OBM School. So that was definitely a big value for me, also because it's so far back that I started studying business in 1987. So that is typewriter. That is, I don't know how you say in English, we said short language. There's a short language. So, it's just like I was recording on records, not just tapes. We had records. Crazy. So, and from that then to, our century. It's
having like Google Drive and now Gemini and ChatGPT. It's like
AI,
it's so remarkable. That's the other thing that I think is so maybe just overlooked is like, at least this is a career and an industry that is rapidly developing and evolving. Yes, on one hand, you could be like, oh, it's scary. It moves so fast. How will I keep up with all these things? And on the other hand, I'm like, but that's the beauty of it. The fact that, we have to sort of pivot quickly, and clients need OBMs to help them pivot quickly. Like even in that example of the event that you were planning with your client, being like, hey, this ain't going to be successful. You're not going to make the revenue that you need. We're going to go belly up here. Let's pivot and let's look at this differently. I just think there's so many, service as a software, SaaS programs and different things that we can use, different tools online that make this fun for me.
Yeah.
Fun and interesting and evolving and not stale and stagnant like some other stuffy corporate careers that are, you're doing the same thing day in, day out. You have no real quality of life or time to like dream about being at your beach house and having this flexible, like there's so much to this world that I think is frightening, but also if you lean into it and you recognize, especially when it comes to marketing, that like nobody really knows what's going to work and what's going to work. It's all trial and error, most of these things.
Yeah.
You just got to be there to kind of hold the hand and put some KPIs in place and put some plans in place and then sort of see where things go and be open and honest.
What I find as well, because I have those experiences where everything started really basic and went with manual work. I see now how businesses go crazy. They want to automate everything. They want to have AI agents for everything. And then they automate and
and then it's very
just like
impersonal.
it's crazy and then it becomes its own life. So they don't even know what's automated anymore. They have 100 tools they pay AI on top of this and on top of this. First they start using it and then they realize, okay, it goes completely crazy. So they don't use it anymore, but they're still paying for it. And so that is another thing that I scale everyone back and say, okay, look, take a step back because they automate so many things that they don't even know what's automated and it becomes its own life and they can't stop it. Yeah, exactly. It's a beast. So that is where I'm scaling back then as well and say, okay, stop. You don't need this. It's just go back to automate, but, do it with a plan. Do it with a plan. Is it actually necessary to automate it? That is another thing, you automate only recurring tasks and, and you do everything with AI that you can't automate with something else.
Yeah.
And then it's working. And that is kind of those things. But I think that is, when you come into an OBM role and you have worked before and how it was working before. And, the world rolled as well. It didn't stop. It didn't fall apart just because we haven't had AI. So
That's right. That's a very good point.
But that's what I'm enjoying now as well. With, before, when I was working in businesses, I did a lot of manuals. I wrote manuals. Oh my gosh. I did a lot of SOPs every time again for every business again. But they sit all with those businesses, they are not, I don't have them. They are not mine. So when I started my business, I thought, how the heck can I build up this whole thing?
Yeah.
So, with the vault that came through the OBM School,
right,
you have a base with everything, and I can work on that. And it's easier to manage, because that is something that I found at the beginning that was so overwhelming, where I thought, okay, how the heck do I manage all those SOPs, all those systems, all those manuals, and all of that. But I was lucky as well that I just started when AI became a thing. And I did, at the very beginning, when I started my business, I did 2 Microsoft certifications with AI. And that helped me really, because, I needed an assistant. And that's how I see AI now.
Yes.
And it enabled me to do much more that I was able to do without it.
An assistant. Yes. So like, how do you leverage? Tell us more. I feel like AI is my assistant as well, but I also feel like I can almost abuse it in a way, because I'm like, sometimes heavily leaning in, or I'll, instead of spending like 20 minutes, I'll spend like 2 hours researching something or going down some rabbit hole. I'd love if you have any examples of how you use AI or how you use this assistant specifically.
I stick to what I always do. There's one truth. There's one system that keeps everything. That is like, I have Google where all my files are saved. That is the truth. I have a little bit of a combination because I'm a Microsoft girl, but I have, but I managed to keep this in one, I have the desktop version. So I have everything on my computer, but still use Google as well.
Right.
So that works really well. And that's the same with AI. So I'm not playing with 1,000 different tools. I tried Copilot. I tried all sorts of AIs. They come with Google. They come with ClickUp. They come whatever. They don't work. Nothing.
Nothing. I know. It's so funny. Yeah. They all have these AI and you're like, well, but it just doesn't work that well. That's what I find as well.
It doesn't work. So, for me as ChatGPT, that's my source of truth. And that is where I work. Then I have everything in one system. So if I ask something, I know I have asked this before in that system. So, and I have projects in it. So, all projects get instructions. They all get the same base instruction, how I want to sound, my voice. For example, I'm in New Zealand, so everything is New Zealand English. I don't like the dashes.
I know, no dashes. Yes.
So I instructed that I hate them.
Yeah. And then do you find that it still puts them though?
Not that often anymore. So, I fine-tuned my prompt, and every time it does it, I copy it and then say, no, that's not what I want. And I hardly get them now.
That's good.
So I think one prompt that you can ask is, keep my sentences short, and instead of a dash, use a point or
something else, anything else,
something else. I'll finish the sentence and start a new one. And that works. So it works most of the times. My ChatGPT has a name, and I asked it what it wants to be named, because I thought, if I interact with it the whole time, so it has to have a name. So it has a name. And I have my project. So one is the grammar, just spelling grammar check, where I dump everything in that I want to have checked. But that also has an instruction, spelling grammar check, but also give me a better version. So then I have a spell checked version, but I also have one with ideas that I might take then into mine.
Oh.
And that works really well. So I would say 80% I use mine, and I have sentences that I copy out then sometimes of the suggestions that I get from it. So that's cool. And I have for each client as well, but don't do names. It's client A, client B, whatever. And
yeah, because you got to be careful about privacy for sure.
Oh, totally.
Yes.
Don't put client confidential information in it. I'm careful there, but I know there's also Copilot and whatever, and Copilot has access to your whole data and for every document, everything that you have on your files. There is already a bit of so that's why I work with the paid versions and make sure, you go at the beginning in and review your settings that it can't use your data to research and to improve versions. You can play a lot with the projects because you have then for everything, get instructions in. So the more detailed your prompts are, the better you get out of it. That is what I found. And even, even for ClickUp, I have a ClickUp project in my ChatGPT. I ask everything about ClickUp in that. I don't ask it in ClickUp. I ask ChatGPT, and oh my gosh, it's amazing. It gives you everything. Whatever you see, whatever you want to do, it tells you everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's sort of like the curse and the blessing in a way. It can make life so simple, but also the using it itself can be a little bit of a time suck, if you're not careful.
I haven't got the feeling that, because I use it just to get information.
I
use it for research or, I never go in and say, write me this.
Right.
It's just to make things better.
Those are good, juicy AI tips you shared with us. I think it's so good. Setting up the instructions, making sure it knows your voice. I'm having projects for very specific things. Actually, last week we had an AI. I know you weren't on because sometimes the time zone is difficult for you being in New Zealand, but
there was 2:30 at night.
Yeah, I know it was. Yeah, it was.
But I want to watch it. I have it on my list.
It was great because we, Gemini and Google have rolled out a whole bunch of new things that sort of are a little bit competitive more with ChatGPT. So we were like doing the pros and cons and the prompt sheets and some of those resources. Because I agree with you. I think there's a lot of AI out there, but as an OBM, I'm really still just using like Gemini, ChatGPT, like basic.
Yeah.
I'm not using any of those, more, I think, niche AI tools to like create presentations or, create a video or create a website.
I don't have the time.
No, I don't have the time either.
And I don't want to spend the time. I want to spend the time.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what you said. It's a time sucker because, the more and then you see this shiny thing and this shiny thing.
And they don't really work that well also. Like a friend of mine created a website, yes, in 5 minutes, but now you need to customize it. Now, it doesn't really play nice with WordPress. Like it's sort of, you've created this beast now and I think even as we're speaking, Manu, AI is evolving and new products are coming out. And I know it's not going to stay like this, but I think for now, in its sort of like infancy, a lot of these programs are not necessarily where they need to be.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to mention that.
Yeah. And they sometimes do things you don't want them to do.
Mm-hmm.
I found this in ClickUp. I had custom fields, AI custom fields. They got their own life. And they were just doing crazy things that I didn't even ask for. So I thought, okay, no, I get rid of you and I put a formula in. So, it's still an automation and it works. It works perfectly. And if I want it to stop, I can stop it. That's the other thing, if you do everything with AI and all sorts of tools, how do you stop this? You need a register where you enter all your AI prompts. After a while, it becomes so much that one prompt is actually a contra to another AI prompt.
Yeah.
And then you break it because it doesn't know what to do. So it does just random stuff that it thinks it's right, but it's not.
It's crazy. Yeah. It really is nuts.
Yeah. So I think with the whole vibe and that people say, AI is replacing me. No, because we see already where it breaks.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So I think that it's, it's such you've been sharing so much about your journey and being so honest and I think open with everything that's been going on. It's been such a pleasure to have you inside of our OBM school community. I always say that every OBM brings to the table like a very unique set of skills, and you are by no means an exception. We come with all of our special toolkit of all of these amazing things. Was there like an unexpected benefit that you gained from being part of our unique OBM school community? Or did something about the OBM accreditation program impact the way that like maybe you set up your business? I know you mentioned the SOP vault.
So yeah, for me, it was the vault. A lot of things were that I already did for years.
Yeah.
But you know them, but putting them down on paper is a different thing. So it's the structure that comes with it, where okay, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, but getting this together and actually articulate it as well. What you're doing, that definitely helped. That was one thing. And definitely, the sales part and the marketing part.
Yeah.
That was, I'm always saying I'm a strategist. I'm a doer in parts, where I have finance and operations, but definitely not in marketing and sales. And that changed a lot for me also to market myself, to launch. And you can even,
and
some people
do it in your way.
Exactly. So, you don't need to do this exactly how it is there. Do it in your way. And I think that is where I can see people stuck in the program when they think, oh, I needed to do it exactly the same way. No. That you don't need to. You do it your way. That is all guidelines. And you do it the way that you have worked before, that you think that works for you, that works for your clients. Because, we are all different. And also we all live in different areas of this world. So things that work here in New Zealand, they don't work in Europe. And I know this because I lived in both parts. So,
right.
And the other way around. So you need to adjust this to your personality, to your clients, to your environment, to your team. Yeah, but you have a base. You have a base and a structure, and that was
that's what I always tell people. I'm like, OBM school is great because it helps to lessen that learning curve. I think for a lot of us, like we have that natural tenacity for entrepreneurship and leadership, and you have a lot of experience. You were already on your way building a beautiful business. And I think just OBM school comes and it helps with some of those templates and the structure and the foundation so that you can build faster, so that you can build in a way and have that feedback from a community and our mentors and our team and feedback on projects and
the feedback and the accountability as well.
Well, there's a lot to be said for, a swift kick in the bum to get your business moving or to help you get unstuck from maybe some sort of limited belief you have around your mindset, what you can do, what you can't do. I mean, you have really just, I think, shed light on the power of relationships and leveraging your corporate leadership and relationships to connect you with other people and to create this wonderful reputation for yourself. And honestly, Manu, it's just thank you for sharing your incredible journey with us today. Your story to me is such a powerful reminder that it's never too late to pivot. It's never too late to reinvent yourself. It's never too late to build something that not only supports your livelihood, but absolutely aligns with your value and your passion. And you've done that so amazingly, and you've set such a great example. And I think there's something so magical about the school. It's not about me and, what I've done as an OBM. It's collectively our experiences and how we lead in these positions. Your experience, from leading major organizations to launching, Breitinger Consulting and creating absolute impact for your clients. Every time I talk to you, you're sharing these amazing, inspirational. And every time I talk to him, like, oh my God, that needs to be a case study. Oh my God, you need to take that scenario, pop it into ChatGPT and create something beautiful for your blog. Your dedication to structure and systems and finance and just leadership, and also just giving back, with the charities that you work with. It's really remarkable to me. And it's an honor to have you on the ranks of our accredited OBMs. And I hope that for anyone listening or watching today who's contemplating their next big move or wondering if they can really start over or start, seemingly later in life. Okay. It's not even. Your story proves that with the right strategy and support and a little bit of courage, you can really do this and you can live out your dream of having that work-life flexibility. So thank you for sharing with us your wisdom and encouraging our listeners and our YouTube viewers that, if you can dream it, if you can imagine it, you can really, really make it happen. You really have shown that. So thank you for sharing your story today, Manu.
Sarah, thank you so much. Look, I will miss the school because, everyone was so lovely and you were just amazing and empowering all the time as well. I love your positivity and just your
thank you.
Smile.
Well, you got our alumni community for life. So we will all stay connected. And, I hope to continue supporting you as you scale this beautiful agency.
Thank you.
Manu.
Thank you so much.